Welcome to this Kidsclublocke episode 4. Last episode we went through Mount Moon, and so today we dropped by the Pokemon Center in Cerulean City to give the team a well-deserved rest before we run into any accidental battles without thinking about it. And then it's time for the rival battle. D-Bag starts off with Sparrow, and so I start off with Bob, who gets lucky on the first Thundershock and lands a Paralysis. We finish up the bird, go up a level, and then switch out to Air France when Sandshrew comes in. This face-off immediately turns into a battle of the sand attacks. With both parties now having so much sand in their eyes that it becomes difficult to throw their own. Rattata comes out, and with this health range, I don't really fancy a Hyper Fang, so we switch to the dude. And then the rock punches the rat in the mouth and picks up the KO. After which D-Bag's Eevee isn't ready for Mega Punch either. Since Air France is getting closer and closer to becoming a Pidgeotto, it now seems like a good idea to just start Nugget Bridge and get enough XP to level it up. As I dive into the next fight, my mind completely wanders off towards the story behind Nugget Bridge. I'm sure there's some kind of Pokemon wiki or whatever but in my case, I just kind of like to daydream about those things. Say, for example, you're a lad or a lass who gets recruited by the Rocket to fight at Nugget Bridge. What would that be like? You're standing there with your Rattata and your Pidgey, and this Rocket comes up to you and goes, "Hey kid, how would you like to earn some money? Here's what you gotta do. Stand to this side of the bridge, and when anyone crosses it, you take your Pokemon and you beat the crap out of them. You got that?" Yeah, when you think about it, it's actually a pretty weird idea. You know, recruiting a bunch of people to hold up a bridge and forcing other people into Pokemon fights. Imagine if your Pokemon were just like your everyday pets, right? You have a dog, you have a cat, you're walking your dog, then some guy comes over to you with no warning at all. They just throw this Dachshund in front of you and go, "You locked eyes, so now it's time to fight." Of course, that's also kind of what I like about Pokemon, you know, the sheer absurdity of it, the logic behind it. It doesn't make any sense, but that's what makes it fun. And in the meantime, I'm letting my mind drift off so much that I don't notice the leer that this Mankey uses, and I underestimate the power of a low kick. I get punished for not paying attention, and so now we play another Kids Club minigame to decide if I can keep Bob. For those of you who've been watching my other episodes as well, you might know that this is not the first time that Bob's been in a pickle, so let's hope I get as lucky as I did then. For those of you who've never played Ekans Hoop Hurl, it's a great way to get your controller's stick to either drag or go completely numb, because there's 3 different ways to use it. To hit the Ekans close by, you just slightly flick it. The one in the middle is somewhere in the middle, and then the Ekans further back requires more drag and a longer period of holding the stick. But if you're facing off against 3 NPC opponents on hard level, you're going to be spamming and hitting the stick rather a lot, and you'll overuse it a bit. Unfortunately, no luck for me. Sorry, Bob. As I put Bob in a dead box, I try to remember all the good times we had. The close calls against Brock, the many Clefairy Zumba dance classes we followed. But I guess I will have to get used to a party lineup without my starter Pokemon in it. Another thing I'm desperately gonna need is a new encounter. So I make my way to Route 25, where I have a chance to run into Pidgey, Pidgeotto, Oddish Venonat, or Bellsprout. What I'm hoping for the most is a Bellsprout, because I've always kind of been fond of using Weeping Bell and Victory Bell. It gets Stun Spore, it gets Wrap, which is a really nice and dirty way to cheese with in Generation 1. Razor Leaf crits hard, so that would be nice. And my encounter is an Oddish. Join me again next time to see if I will catch it. Nah, just kidding. There's actually a bit more story still to tell. Oddish actually isn't the worst encounter. I could definitely use a grass type against Misty. The only problem is the level. She has a level 18 Staryu and a level 21 Starmie, and so if I catch this level 12 Oddish, I still have a bit of work to do. So, with Oddish up front, we're gonna fight this hiker first with an Onix, and we're gonna try and fight as many of these trainers here on the route to Bill to get enough XP for Oddish. As you can tell, the level difference between Oddish and the Pokemon from regular trainers here is already quite a bit, so I'm gonna have to keep my eye on how much damage I take and switching before it's in range to get KO'd. But with this Onix, I think we should be fine with just a couple of absorbs. As I work my way past a couple of trainers, I run into this guy with a Slowpoke. And that's actually where we run into a bit of trouble, believe it or not. The general plan was to set up enough sound attacks so I can switch in Kombucha in the hopes that confusion will miss. But in this case, it doesn't, it hits hard, and I immediately need a new switch. So I decide to sacrifice Cranky Pants in order to get a free switch. Sorry, buddy. Of course, just when you don't expect it, you get 4 confusion misses in a row, which means Cranky Pants gets off a couple of pecks and a couple of leers, but unfortunately then it's endgame for the Angry Bird. Or is it? Because losing a Pokemon means playing a minigame. There might still be a chance for Cranky Pants. And as it turns out, the RNG is really in favor of doing games twice, because once again we're going to play Ring Toss with snakes. Will twice be the charm, just like with the Clefairy Says game. Well, I get a couple more hits compared to last game, but the NPCs are still miles ahead of me. So, no. Unfortunately not. Rest in peace, Sparrow. The good thing about this is that Pidgeotto can now get back into the game and take out the Slowpoke, giving Cranky Pants' teammates the much-needed XP. And this is, in fact, the end of the story for this episode. In the next episode, I will probably be working on that Oddish to get it leveled up. Of course, I don't have to go to Misty immediately. I can also go for a couple of encounters on routes outside of Cerulean City. But for now, I would like to thank you for watching, and I hope you will join me again soon for episode 5.